MK677 is not a SARM. A lot of people have called it a SARM. It's been falsely called a SARM, but it is not a SARM. So MK677 is also known as Ibutamoren. It's a growth hormone secretagogue, and more specifically, it's a ghrelin agonist. So it causes your body to produce ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone, and thereby stimulates growth hormone secretion. It's not a SARM or a peptide, but it is a small molecule that mimics ghrelin to stimulate growth hormone release. It was originally developed for treating growth hormone deficiencies, and it's now popular in the fitness world for muscle growth, fat loss, and recovery. So mechanism of action, MK677 activates the ghrelin receptor, the GHSR in the brain, which signals the hypothalamus and the pituitary to release more growth hormone. This leads to a sustained increase in growth hormone and IGF-1 levels, supporting muscle hypertrophy, fat metabolism, recovery, and even skin and hair health and growth. It works by binding the ghrelin receptor and binding to the ghrelin receptor and stimulating the pituitary gland to release growth hormone and IGF-1, or insulin-like growth factor 1. IGF-1 is the primary factor for building muscle based on growth hormone type products, right? So the reason guys take growth hormone is to get the IGF-1 to build muscle. Right. There's other benefits to it as well. We'll get into those here in a second. But the primary thing guys are wanting out of a growth hormone product is the IGF-1. Unlike injecting growth hormone, MK677 works by stimulating the body's own growth hormone production without suppressing natural levels over time. Clinical research and scientific evidence behind MK677 is actually quite a bit more than what some of the other products I've talked about. There was a study in 1998 by England et al. There are 60 elderly subjects who took 25 milligrams per day of MK677. After 6 months, their IGF-1 increased by 60%. Their lean mass increased significantly and fat mass was reduced. Another study in 2001, Chapman et al., 24 healthy adults showed a marked improvement in growth hormone pulse frequency and amplitude. And then another one, patients with growth hormone deficiency showed sustained elevation in growth hormone and IGF-1 without desensitization after 12 months of being on MK677. There's no suppression of testosterone, luteinizing hormone, or FSH, which makes it safer than the other anabolic category of products that I usually talk about. So you don't have to worry about a PCT or anything like that, okay? Anecdotal reports and real-world experiences coming from forums, Reddit, Facebook, etc. There are commonly reported benefits, including increased fullness, better sleep, vivid dreams, faster recovery from workouts, noticeable body recomposition in 4 to 6 weeks. Some users note water retention and hunger spikes. First off, it really, really increases my hunger. And eating is one thing I've had a hard time with. Just eating enough calories in a day is something that I struggle with on a regular basis, especially when I'm trying to eat cleaner food. I've talked before about how it's pretty easy to get in your 200 grams of protein a day by eating 2 pounds of beef, right? And yeah, that seems easy, but a lot of times I can't get that 2 pounds of beef or the 2 pounds of chicken or the combination into my system. And on top of just that basic protein, you need other things like carbohydrates, right? So you start factoring in this food, and a lot of times I have a hard time getting it all in. And so taking MK677 first thing in the morning drastically helps me to be able to eat my pre-workout meal and again post-workout and throughout the rest of the day. So I'm actually able to hit my caloric goals when I utilize MK677, whereas when I'm not on it, I have a hard time. Now, I will say that I have mine from aminoxgen.com. These are 12.5 milligram capsules. And for me, that's the ideal dosage. I found that when I go to 20 or 30 milligrams, I start to get a lot of water retention. I realized later on that was a dose dependent issue. And so when I dropped down to the 12.5 milligrams on specific workout days only, that I'm not suffering the water retention issues and I'm still getting the benefit out of it. So I'm getting better sleep, better recovery. And the primary thing for me has been the increased appetite. So if you're somebody that has a hard time right now with eating too much, this probably isn't a good product for you, because you are going to feel like you are literally the black hole of starvation while you're on this product. Now, I can't say it's true for everybody, but in my experience, regardless of the brand, if you're buying quality MK677, the hunger factor is the first thing that's going to show up. And if you're not getting the hunger factor, at least from my own personal experience trying dozens of brands, if I'm not getting the hunger, I don't think this stuff is legitimate. So I don't know if everybody has that hunger side effect, but for me, that's the first thing that shows up, and it's a reliable tester for myself